Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Spartan Stadium at Castleton. It's college field hockey action as the Castleton Spartans host the Monks of St. Joe's. And I'm Jack Keeley on board with Darlene Janoski. And our producer here on site at Spartan Stadium is Matt Broderick, Mike Valentine, and Chris McCormick at PEG TV, Channel 20 in the Rutland, Vermont Comcast system. Nick and Mike are cameramen. A very mild afternoon, still beautiful foliage here at Spartan Stadium and overcast skies. And we have a good one in store for you. Again, we welcome our listening and viewing audience around the world and also on PEG TV locally in the Rutland area. St. Joe's of Maine at 8-0 overall, 3-0 in the North Atlantic Conference, and the Castleton Spartans, the defending NAC champion, at 6-3 overall, also 3-0 in the NAC. And right now, a three-way tie for the lead in the North Atlantic Conference among St. Joe's of Maine, Husson, and also Castleton. So Castleton putting its perfect record on the line in league play against St. Joe's, also putting its perfect record on the line. St. Joe's owns the lowest goals against average in the entire nation at 0.37. The Spartans have won their last two matches, shutting out Thomas 4-0 and then Maine Farmington 2-0 last weekend. 6 different players scoring those 6 goals, and for the season the team is averaging 3.3 goals per game. And individually, Rachel Prusser leads the offense with 11 goals and 11 assists for 33 points. Junior Christy Pinkham is second on the team, 12 points on 4 goals, 4 assists. And Blake Wardwell has 3 goals and 4 assists for 10 points. And Jessica Galatiotto has started every game in goal for the Spartans and owns a 3.47 goals against average. In conference play, she hasn't allowed a goal in 200 minutes while making 15 saves. St. Joe's unbeaten and has given up more than 1 goal and has not given up more than 1 goal in any game this year. Overall, they have outshot their opponents 170-32, and offensively are averaging 3 goals per game. Rachel Masuri leads the offense with 7 goals, 4 assists for 18 points. Effie Drew, second on the team, 6 goals, 2 assists. And in net, freshman Emma Asbury has started and won all 8 games. Her 0.39 goals against average, the second lowest in the nation in Division III, and her .857 save percentage is ranked 16th in the nation. And an added sidelight to that for Emma Asbury of St. Joe's, the goalkeeper, number 68. She is from Woodstock, Vermont. She's actually from Bridgewater and played her high school field hockey at Woodstock Union High School. So a local player in goal for the St. Joe's Monks. And with us, Darlene Janoski. This should be a good one, a couple of undefeated teams.
This should be good, actually. They're both vying for top in the NAC. That's real important now that they've gotten into league schedule play. This is for home field, and I'm sure Castleton doesn't want to go to Maine and vice versa, so it should be quite the show. They don't give up a lot of points, St. Joe's, and Castleton tends to score a lot of points, so this could be interesting.
Castleton still has quite a few league opponents coming up, so it's certainly not a do-or-die situation, but
Definitely
this is
not.
the type of team, of course, the both Husson and St. Joe, since you're tied with them, a 3-way tie for the top right now, unbeaten. These are the teams certainly you want to beat. Is Castleton in the green uniforms, St. Joe's in the white uniforms with the blue numerals. St. Joe's coached by Rupert Lewis, now in his 9th year. Tammy Landon, now in her 10th year, the coach of the Castleton Spartans. St. Joe's going with Megan Williams, number 5. Number 9, Amanda Salata. Number 10, Effie Drew. Number 11, Rachel Missouri. Number 12 is Teresa Hendricks. Number 13, Carly Dennis. Kayla Royer. Number 14, Kaylee Heath. Number 15, number 21, Kelsey Dumond. Number 22, Chelsea Bordeaux. And the goalkeeper, as we mentioned, number 68, Emma Asbury, a 5'2 freshman from Bridgewater, Vermont, Woodstock Union High School. And we'll get to the Castleton alignment. We have the national anthem coming up. But number 33, the goalkeeper, Jessica Galatiotto, 5'5 junior from Queensbury, New York. And before we run by the Castleton starting alignment here at Spartan Stadium and get our game underway in college field hockey, our national anthem.
Number 1 is a pretty important number, but it's even more important when it comes to your health. That is, taking care of number 1. So turn to the number 1 group of healthcare professionals, Rutland Regional Medical Center's Vermont Orthopedic Clinic. Vermont Orthopedic Clinic is recognized across Vermont and the country for excellence in knee replacement, hip replacement, and overall orthopedic care. Vermont Orthopedic Clinic at the Rutland Regional Medical Center, where people care.
Why did I choose Castleton?
Castleton is big enough, so there's a lot to do. It's small enough so I can really get involved.
Sports.
Theater and music.
Radio and TV.
Internships and community service. There's a real sense of community.
And lots of opportunity.
And Castleton is in Vermont.
That means hiking, biking, skiing, and riding.
Visit castleton.edu to learn more about Castleton.
Looking at the starting alignment for the Spartans, number 2, Shauna Pinsino. Number 4 is Rachel Prusser. Number 5, Bryn Kea. Number 9 is Stacy Sullivan. Alex Sears, number 10. Number 12, Blake Wardwell. Number 17, Christy Pinkham. Number 22, Stephanie Bardell. Number 23, Carissa McCoy. Shannon Burns, number 37. And at number 33 in gold is Jessica Galatioto. Now I look down for the Spartans, Darlene. Blake Wardwell is from Bridgewater and Woodstock. I'm sure she knows Emma Asbury, and they very well could have been teammates. Blake probably was a senior when Emma was a freshman in high school. So.
Yeah, Emma might have been on the JV level at that point, but I'm sure Blake knows of her. And how big is Bridgewater?
How big is Bridgewater?
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, the beautiful location here. Of course, our camera is located across from the stands where we're located. We're located in that building, the press box behind the stands here. But as we look out behind where our camera location is, beautiful foliage. As people know, obviously, for the last 2 or 3 weeks, not a cloud in the sky, basically. And yesterday, some overcast today as well. But the foliage is just...
It is.
It's still just
right
outstanding.
Now. Perfect. Really nice day. Actually, the temperature is just perfect. It's not really, really hot. It's not cold yet. We're not getting any of that nasty weather.
Well, since the last time we were with you, we were here for the Mount Holyoke game for field hockey on the 22nd, a 4-1 loss by the Spartans. But since that time, Rachel Prusser, and we knew she would be, has become the most prolific scorer in the history of Castleton field hockey. She's the all-time leader in goals with 71, the all-time leader in assists with 31, and the all-time leader in points with 173. And all 3 categories breaking Keely Chipman's record. Keely from Bellows Falls. Keely, who graduated last year, so her records did indeed stand up for about a year. We knew it would be sooner or later Rachel Prusser, who was a 5'2 senior from Prairieville, New York. And I had an opportunity, speaking of PEG TV, there is a show that airs a few times a week, but one of the times, the first time is at 9:30 on Monday nights on Channel 20. And I've had an opportunity already to tape the show with Coach Tammy Landon and Rachel Prusser, which can be seen on PegTV.com, video on demand. You click into the Castleton headline for that, the Castleton category. I believe will be on PEG TV itself, probably, I think, coming up shortly. But at any rate, enjoy the conversation with Tammy Landon and Rachel Prusser as we're underway. As you look out, it's St. Joe's going right to left and Castleton going left to right. Here in the first half, 35-minute halves. Jack Healy, Darlene Janowski, Matt Broderick is our producer here at Spartan Stadium. This is Rachel Prusser, the most prolific scorer in the history of Castleton field hockey, number 4.
Castleton starts the game pretty much on the attack here, and their end of the pushing it to the St. Joe's end of the field, which is going to be an interesting highlight, seeing as how they don't give up many goals.
Kelsey Dumont is number 21 for St. Joe's of Maine in the blue and white. Bardell back. Stephanie Bardell from Herwitta, Pennsylvania, now a senior, also a member of the ice hockey team here at Castleton. Seasons kind of overlap, but we've mentioned this many times, but I remember one year where I think it was 2 years ago.
She had a doubleheader, didn't she?
Yeah, she had a doubleheader. The season ended one day, and she was right at it the next day for the next sport. Kind of busy.
That's got to be coming up again real soon.
Yeah. Number 17, Christy Pinkham. It's on a nice move and fires in, and we got the. She let that go.
Yeah.
And it is a.
That was strange.
Score.
Very strange. Everyone watched.
Yeah, and
We'll have
we've
to
mentioned
see it
this so many
again.
times. I'm surprised to me.
She was
Christy Pinkham.
well inside the circle. I'm not sure what they were looking at.
And Pinkham scores to put the Spartans up 1-0. The reason I hesitated is a lot of times that people that have been with us on field hockey, if indeed the goalkeeper will let the shot go if they feel that it came from outside the circle. But as you mentioned, it was well within the circle. And
Unless she was confused by the volume of lines on the field.
she might have been. Because usually, as people saw in that goal, Asbury just let it go. She didn't even make an attempt at it.
Even the defense, there was no reaction. That was really weird. No defensive reaction whatsoever.
Now remember, she gives up 0.39 goals a game, so it's already over her average now. The early going, Pinkham getting the goal, but the Spartans get a break there and lead it 1-0. Here's Pruser inside the circle and knocked away, and bringing it out now is Dennis for St. Joe's. And we'll have the restart for St. Joe's. The St. Joe's Monks, coached by Rupert Lewis, now in his 9th year. St. Joe's looking to control in Castleton territory. On the right wing, it's Dumont. Back toward the middle, still outside the circle. Of course, you can't. You can shoot from outside the circle, but you can only. Somebody's got to touch it within
Only
the
hope.
circle. Spartans control now along the near side, but back the other way come the Monks.
Nice step up there by Alex Sears. The defense for Castleton is an experienced group, and a lot of times they've come up big for their keeper. Galatioto stepped right in there, saved a goal or two.
Here's Kay on the left wing, number 5 for the Spartans. Spartans are lead at 1-0, coming down on 31 minutes to go here in the first half. The long hit for Castleton. Kaya bounced out toward the middle. Kaya getting it back on the left wing from Bardell. And it's deflected out.
Should be a long hit. There
It'll
we
be
go.
Kaya.
There we go. Yep.
Kaya with a long hit along the far sideline for Castleton. Bardell battling there with Hendricks. Bardell again. Back to Kaya. Just inside the circle there. Bardell trying to control, and St. Joe's.
Stepped up.
St. Joe's Megan Williams, number 5. Stacy Sullivan, number 9 for the Spartans, is a defender from Bridgewater, Connecticut.
Alex Sears hit the deck there for a minute, and she almost looked hurt. I'm more aggravated, I think, than anything else. Right back into the middle of it.
Missouri is number 11. Rachel Missouri, a 5'4" senior from Atkinson, New Hampshire for St. Joe's. Rachel Pruser on the left wing. Kaya with it. Kaya looking to control. Bring Kaya is a 5'6" senior from Berlin, Vermont.
Why did I choose Castleton?
Played at U32. Many Vermonters on this Castleton field hockey team. Christy Pinkham, who scored the goal, is from Brandon, Vermont, from nearby Otter Valley Union High School. Effie Drew for St. Joe's. Saletta's number 9.
Interesting how a Woodstock goalie would end up in St. Joe's, Maine, but you never know. There could be relatives or who knows what involved.
Well, as you mentioned, sometimes you just want to go to school
Get
someplace
away.
else.
Try something new. Get a new look.
Kind of wonder, don't want to say something that didn't happen, but I wonder if Blake Wardwell tried to recruit her, and
I don't know. Can't hurt. Nice recruiting tool.
I think that, I mean, I've talked to Tammy and other coaches before, certainly players that go here and talk to players from their hometowns. I think a lot of times that certainly works, especially when you're talking about an in-state school like Castleton and, the small town atmosphere that we have throughout the state.
Yeah, and a lot of those potential incoming freshmen are, they're very young. They're unsure of what everything's about, and if they can hook up with somebody that they know, they feel a little more relaxed about being somewhere.
Christy Pinkham, a 5'3" junior. Alex Sears toward Rachel Prusser, number 4. Again, Castleton in green. Castleton leads 1-0. 27:30 to go here in the first half. On the run, Effie Drew with it on the left wing. Stacy Sullivan trying to poke it away.
A little too much poke. Took the offensive stick away with it.
And hop past Saletta. And Castleton will control, but goes back to St. Joe's. Dennis, number 13. St. Joe's really is not really getting anything started offensively. I'm not sure that they've even had it in the circle yet until
right there,
just about now, but it didn't get all the way through, and it will be
their self-start back outside the circle.
Yep.
The defense for Castleton's been good, though. They're covering.
Yep, they are.
Everybody has somebody marked.
Both teams have prolific scorers, but again, both teams strong defensively. Thus, their undefeated records. The Monks at 3-0, the Spartans at 3-0. The Spartans overall are 5-4.
And to the credit of that 5-4, there's been some nationally ranked D3
they
schools
play
in there.
a
They
tough
went after it.
out-of-league schedule for sure. That's
yeah.
We talked about Mount Holyoke and Skidmore.
Middlebury.
Middlebury's another one.
Are all teams that are in the top 15 in the Division III poll.
And of course, the NESCAC, where Middlebury is so tough. People might remember Castleton won the North Atlantic Conference Championship last year, went to the NCAA tournament, and who did they get in the first round?
A NESCAC school. I think they went to Tufts.
They did, and guess who
snow.
won the national championship?
Yeah, they're right there again, Tufts.
So that was Castleton's first round opponent, and Tufts went on to win the national championship. And you mentioned it was played in the snow.
NESCAC is an incredible conference for field hockey.
They certainly are, and
this conference is coming, though.
And, of course, if you do well in the non-conference schedule, you very well overall the conference could get stronger and get bids. To this point, you have to win the conference to get the bid to the NCAA tournament. But the stronger the conference, the more at-large berths would be given out. And
absolutely.
That's something that can happen in the future. Christy Pinkham scoring the goal, which was an unusual goal in the sense that the goalkeeper let it go. And I think what you said, Darlene, is correct. There are a lot of lines. You can only shoot within the circle. A lot of times people familiar with field hockey, a player will shoot, and the goalkeeper will let it go because they know it came from outside the circle. And I can only think that The goalkeeper, Emma Asbury, might have been confused.
She may have thought, I mean, she came in really high, real close to the yellow arc as well that's on the field, and she may have, misinterpreted the lines. You never know.
The yellow
Maybe
arc,
we can get a
course,
look at it again at some point and see what everybody was thinking.
The yellow arc is for soccer. Of course, there's lacrosse lines out there. The
million football.
Yeah, there's football, and the black arc, which goes out to about the at the top of it, goes out
16 yards.
Yep, the 16-yard line, and she was certainly within that, but
definitely
might have been confusing to the goalkeepers to exactly how far out they were.
It's not her field. It was very early in the game, She had her little bit of warm-up time, and that was it. So there still might be adjustment.
Here's Bardell. Sends it down low to Prusser. On the second opportunity, St. Joe's managed to clear it outside the circle. Kaya shovels it inside the circle, and restart coming back the other way for St. Joe's.
White.
23:08 to go here in the first half. 1-0 Castleton in the battle of unbeatens in college field hockey. Megan Williams.
And other than that strange fluke goal, there really has been no other opportunities for either team.
Teresa Hendricks and hops by on the right wing. Dumont.
I don't think there's been any corners, has there?
No, not yet. Rachel Missouri down the middle and inside the circle. And I think if you... I thought they were going to have one right there, but apparently not. St. Joe's continues to control inside the circle. About 10 yards out. And Spartans managed to control and get it out of trouble. Hendricks along the near side. Chased there by a couple of Spartans, including Blake Wardwell, who we mentioned is from Bridgewater, Vermont. Blake, a senior now, and of course a lacrosse player here at Castleton as well.
I think they just want a different location for that self-start.
Prusser intercepts. Hendricks tried to pull the trigger, but wasn't quite strong enough on that. Williams. The defense for the Spartans has been suffocating here in the early going. Dumont slaps it across, about 10 yards out, knocked outside the circle, back out to about the 25.
It's great play by Stacy Sullivan. That's good hustle.
We talked about the defense. Stacy, a defender, 5'9" senior from Bridgewater, Connecticut.
Quick green card on Rachel Missouri. I guess they just didn't like the amount of body contact. Quick 2 minutes, she'll be gone. Castleton will have a small advantage.
So Missouri is out. And you do get the green cards are rare, aren't they, Darlene?
No, the green cards are actually pretty common. It kind of settles things down a little bit and gets them back into, regular field hockey. The yellows, the yellows start to get a little more rare. Red is extremely rare.
But on the green, though, you get the one-player advantage.
You do. You get an advantage with every single card.
I mean, you can go by, you can go by several games. I don't know whether we've seen that many player advantages in the games we've seen. Or the
Not
games
many, no.
Yeah.
Typically if they give them early like this, it sets a tone and settles things down. And, two good teams, a lot of tension here. They both want this game badly, and it just kind of quiets things down enough to get them back to hockey.
Green cards, red cards, and yellow cards.
Yep.
Spartans had the restart, but
And a lot of times I've seen kids go off with a card and it works in reverse. It kind of sparks their teammates a little bit and lights a fire under them, that gets them back into it.
still the player advantage for Castleton as Missouri is on the bench. Rachel Missouri, a senior from Atkinson, New Hampshire. Even though the St. Joe's Monks have the possession, they did up to that point with being a player down, getting sent to check in. Elizabeth O'Neill from Topsham, Maine, looking to check in here momentarily for St. Joe's. With it is Williams. Pinkham along the near side on the right wing. Missouri comes back in, so both teams at full strength. Getting back to how common they are, the green card is the most common of all the cards, right?
It is. It is. That's what comes out first, usually.
But still, you could go by whole games, several games, without seeing anything, right? Yeah.
Correct, yeah.
Missouri, who just checked back in after getting that green card. Now Kea for the Spartans. Lost it at the center circle, Williams. At the 50 is Williams getting it back now. Number 5 in the white for St. Joe's, going right to left here in the first half.
And as much of a scorer as Missouri is for St. Joe's, you knew she would head right back out. No big deal. Just a couple minutes for her. And
she has 7 goals, 4 assists.
Back out there.
Checking out now is Salata, and in is number 23, O'Neill, for the Monks.
There's some really good D being played both ways.
Yeah, both teams have the prolific scorers, but among the top teams in the country defensively. We talked about St. Joe's.
Well, that one she can let go.
Yeah, now see, that's what we were talking about earlier, is Asbury let it go because that came from outside the circle, and she knew that
no one had touched it inside the circle. Yeah, that one was pretty clear.
And if you remember back to the goal scored by Castleton, Pinkham's goal, 1-0 Spartans, 17:07 to go here in the first half. She let it go for all intents and purposes, but it came obviously from inside the circle. Restart for the Spartans. And here's Pinkham, lets it fly, and Asbury got a piece of it.
Maybe.
He's trying to find where the ball would be, but
I think we have a timeout.
So we got a timeout with 16:39 to go here in the first half. Jack Healy, Darlene Janoski. Let's take another look at that goal as we watch. Darlene, you can explain it here.
See, she's well inside the circle. I'm not really sure why they stopped.
If we can take it a little bit. Now, that's Pinkham there.
Yep.
Did it get touched in front? We gave it to Pinkham.
They may have been praying for a call off a green foot or something, but you can't rely on stuff like that when it's coming that quickly.
Well, we gave Pinkham the goal. Is it possible somebody else touched that? Or maybe... There were a few players.
It didn't come from Christie's angle, but it could have been off of White. I mean, it almost looked like it hit the White girl's foot way up high, and that might have really sent it flying funny.
I never did hear that's Pinkham out front.
Mm-hmm. It almost looks.
Did Prusser get it? Or I want to double check. We assume that was Pinkham. I got to tell you, now that we've seen the replays a few times,
she's definitely inside the circle.
Yeah, Pinkham is. Yeah. And when I looked at it on live action, I thought Asbury more or less let it go, but maybe she was just confused.
Banging in there. And Prusser was behind the keeper, and it almost looks like she may have got a tip on that.
She might have gotten it. Yeah. I did not hear the announcement. I assumed it was Pinkham, but it might have been Prusser. Still a timeout here with 16:39 to go in the half. And it's 1-0 Castleton. Yeah. We're just double checking on who they gave the goal to. See, originally I thought that Asbury just let it go, and that's what we were talking about being confusing.
Yeah.
It was Pinkham.
Yeah, they gave it to Pinkham.
Yeah, okay. I'm confused.
Yeah.
I know it was a goal, and I thought it was Pinkham originally, and I thought to live.
Yep. Well, she was inside the circle.
She was inside the circle, and I thought Asbury had let it go, but
her being inside the circle, if it did bang off anybody of white, it is going to go to the offensive player. So that would have been Christy Pinkham.
Did you get the feeling that the goalkeeper was just kind of watching it, though, like we
definitely.
just saw her do here before the timeout? That was the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not sure what she was thinking. I don't know if they were hoping that would become a corner or if they thought the confusion with the lines or whatever, but it's on the board.
And again, Pinkham did get the goal. Christy Pinkham, which is what I thought originally. The reason we asked there again is when we saw the replay several times, I was looking at some players there that I didn't notice being there before.
Well, yeah, I didn't catch Rachel Prusser way behind the keeper so close to the cage. And, she has a knack for being in the right place. It could have possibly been her, but obviously it went off somebody of white. And Christy was the inside the circle for green, so it was a Christy Pinkham goal.
And that is the goal right now, the only goal of the game, 1-0 Spartans. With 15:45 left here in the first half of play at Castleton Spartan Stadium. Williams on the long hit.
Back to Castleton.
Rachel Prusser hops by her, and she will control. Rachel Prusser, number 4, sends it to the circle. Pinkham with it. Pinkham along the 50. Wardell.
She's been everywhere. Bardell, Sullivan, Alex Sears. They've really, Shannon Burns. They've stepped up a lot today. I think Madison Martin's in right now for Alex Sears, actually.
Teresa Hendricks on the restart, trying to control it and get it inside the circle, back out toward the 30. Williams played it well for St. Joe's. Williams again. Marissa McCoy is number 23 for the Spartans. Hendricks out to Williams. The defenders have been really tough for Castle and Prusser now. Rachel Prusser. Inside the circle. It scores. My, that's a pretty goal. 2-0 Castleton.
Almost wonder if Blake Wardwell got a touch on that.
Yeah, we'll see if it was tipped. Hold on.
That was.
Yeah, it is. Blake Wardwell did tip it. Prusser took the shot. Wardwell did tip it, and Castleton has a 2-0 lead with 13:44 to go here in the first half. And Prusser will get an assist on that.
Add to the tally.
But Wardwell did get a piece of it. As that changed direction ever so slightly, and Blake Wardwell from Woodstock scores on Asbury from Woodstock. Prusser, the save by Asbury. Prusser had it in close, about 8 yards out, and Asbury stayed with it.
And off the defense, so Castleton has a long hit coming up. Going to keep it down here a little longer.
Along the far side, back out McCoy, Kea. Kea try to catch up to it. Pressure off O'Neill. Mentioned Madison Martin in number 18 for the Spartans, and she's controlling. So Pinkham and Wardwell on the goals. The Spartans lead as St. Joe's 2-0, 12:45 to go in the half. Cahill on the left wing. Cahill looking inside. Shovels it inside the circle, knocked back out. Cahill knocks it back in and comes across the line on the far side. Kea. Pinkham, no, can't quite control, and now it's going to be
goes back
Bardell.
to them, yeah.
Bardell getting it back. Madison Martin. Spartans in green going left to right here in the first half. St. Joe's in white and blue going right to left, and Effie Drew and getting it back along the near side for the Monks.
That's a great stick by Bardell right there.
Here's Prusser controlling.
Nice move.
I'm going to go to Pinsino, but it'll be Pinkham on the restart. Gets it out near the top. Bardell shovels it inside the circle, knocked outside. Shovel back inside as they try to go down low to Prusser. It's Maria Stern, number 25 for Castleton. Had a couple of opportunities, and Maria Stern will play it. Bardell. McCoy with it on the left wing for Castleton. Nice play there by Hendricks. Nice play the other way by Bardell.
If a green foot will go back to Maine.
And go back to Castleton.
Still no corners. That's very rare.
Couple of substitutions coming up for St. Joe's. Michaela Gove will be checking in, and also Brenna Fitzgibbon will be checking in. Well, actually, say that they go back, or did they just check in? I think they did.
Went in, yeah.
Yep. Spartans lead at 2-0 with just under 10 minutes to go in the first half on goals by Christy Pinkham and Blake Wardwell. St. Joe's 8-0 overall, 3-0 in the NAC. The Spartans 3-0 in the NAC and 5-4 overall. A tough out-of-conference schedule. Matter of fact, later on, a future video cast, we do have Springfield and Castleton. That should be interesting. Springfield that's a stop by the goalkeeper for the Spartans, Jessica Galatioto, as the next shot went in wide.
And her feet kind of got hung up, too, so that wasn't going to be another slow roller goal. Just missed.
Jessica Galatioto, a 5'5" junior from Queensbury, New York. I was going to say Springfield's the alma mater of Castleton coach Tammy Landon, so it'll be a non-league game, but I think fun.
That's fun.
Prusser, center circle. It's going to be St. Joe's the other way, going right to left. Prusser getting it back on the left wing. And she got that from Maria Stern. Stepping in, Carissa McCoy.
I almost think, but I would have to check, that when Coach Tammy Landon first started getting into the coaching realm, she was at Springfield as an assistant coach to her longtime coach. That gave her her start coaching.
And Tammy now in her 10th year at Castleton. Now, and she's talking about something right there. What would she be? She was a little bit of a threat here for St. Joe's.
She was hoping that they would interpret what was going on her way,
Okay.
as most coaches would. But, yeah, you can't hurt but to try, you know. She saw it a little bit differently.
Well, I mean, it just to me anyway, it seemed like routine enough, but she was...
Well, you know what? You give them a little thought process, and maybe next time it works out for you.
Rachel Prusser. Coming down on the 7-minute mark to go in the first half. 2-0 Castleton College field hockey here. And cloudy day, but on the
nice stop.
Warm side.
Stacy Sullivan.
Sullivan stepping in, playing it defensively. Stacy Sullivan, remember that nice defensive core. Both teams, certainly we talked about goals against average and by the goalkeepers, but that has a lot to do with the defense too, of course.
It does. Yep. And you can see that every time when it's a self-start for St. Joe's down near the Castleton end, every single Castleton defender has somebody marked.
Prusser down the middle.
They're well aware of how many goals these girls can score.
Chopped back out to Bordeaux. Megan Williams. Sullivan backboard to Bordell along the far side. Knocked down about waist high, Carissa McCoy. Stern. Try to feed it on through. Knocked away. Stern gets it back. Try to feed it through to Prusser. A nice play again by Williams. Williams, defender for St. Joe's, has done a nice job here. Pinkham overruns it a bit. But they're going to have the Castleton restart here with Madison Martin.
And you can see St. Joe's doing the same thing Castleton is. Here's Castleton's restart in their zone, and they have everyone marked up.
Sullivan again breaking it up. Surrey giving it up. Surrey gave it up to Bordeaux. Now Pinkham with it. Christy Pinkham. Christy Pinkham, we mentioned from Otter Valley Union High School, and is also a softball player. And she played for Patty Camden of both sports at Otter Valley.
She played for her in softball.
Yeah, softball. How long ago was Patty a field hockey coach?
She was never a field hockey coach.
Okay.
She's always been a ref.
Okay, I thought she was a field hockey coach there too.
No.
I know she's a ref now.
I'm pretty sure when Christy Pinkham was at Otter Valley, she played for Gary Hodder.
Okay.
He did a really nice job there.
Bordell.
Another card's coming up here. A yellow.
That's a yellow this time. We saw the green card earlier.
And she'll go for 5. They didn't say otherwise that it would be anything different.
So a green is 2 minutes.
It is 2.
Yellow is 5.
Yellow starts at 5, yeah. And is discretionary, based on what the ref Ref
red
wants
is what?
you to be. Red is ejection.
Okay.
Oh, nice
Here's
break.
Pruser. It's the player advantage. Pruser and Asbury makes the stop. Pinsino back to Pruser. Asbury kicks it out of there. Pinkham back inside the circle. Lets it fly, and it is out and over everything.
Defender's stick, yeah. Tipped it quick up off the defender's stick. It'll be a long hit for Castleton. We're staying down
now
here.
they do with the yellow card. They did put it up on the board. They didn't for the green card earlier. So it's 4:28 left on that player advantage.
Yep, and they did give her 5. It starts at 5. It could be more.
And that'll carry over into the second half,
It will.
even if they score.
Correct. Yeah. It's not like ice hockey where you're released from the box if he scores. So if they score against you.
Or like lacrosse, some are releasable and some are not.
Nope.
I do
You
believe.
serve the whole
Yeah.
crime in field hockey.
Pinkham, or at least in men's lacrosse. Men's lacrosse and women's lacrosse are entirely different. As in close, Wardwell couldn't quite
Great
Control
defensive
it.
play by Gove.
like Wardwell, who scored the second goal. Castleton has a player advantage here, and 3:35 left on that. 2:09 to go in the half.
Game's getting a little bit testy down there.
Under 2 minutes to go in the half. Sullivan, center circle for the Spartans. The restart for the Monks of St. Joe's. Tripping ahead, it is Rachel Pruser. Shovels it inside the circle. Asbury comes out, watches it,
Yep.
and lets it go across the line again. That's an example, knowing that it came from outside the circle.
Right. Yep. And she had her eye on it as Wardwell was in the neighborhood, but not close enough to get any kind of stick on it.
No penalty corners in the first half.
That's pretty weird. That's rare.
Of course, on the other hand, though, penalty corners, again, are a result of fouls within the circle, and
Yeah.
neither
and
team has really been in the circle that much.
No, they haven't been in there that much, and the defenses are that good. They're not fouling in the circle, so that's your result.
Under a minute to go in the first half, 2-0 Castleton, 2:18 left in the Castleton player advantage. It'll carry over into the second half here at Spartan Stadium.
I'm sure to be able to see the length of the penalty for the girl that's out is helpful for the coach and the team as well.
Let's see if they can put on pressure, and
Another good step up defensively.
yeah, it was just trying to get inside there to make a move was O'Neill.
Shannon Burns' turn to step in and save it.
If you've already had a green card, as that's the end of the first half, just before we take the break, if you already had a green card and you get another one, that's not.
It's
that's
all right, yeah.
Okay.
Typically,
Is that a green card, or has that become automatically a?
well, typically, the foul keeps progressing. So if
Yeah.
if the girl that got the green was for pushing, and the girl that the next one was a push as well, you're going to see the yellow come out then.
So we are at halftime at Spartan Stadium. We'll take a little break here as Castleton scoring a couple of goals in that first half. Christy Pinkham scoring, and we take another look at, that's the Pruser goal, or Pruser getting an assist. That was Wardwell who scored down low off the Pruser shot. Wardwell getting credit for it. And the first goal was Pinkham.
I think it just batted off a whole bunch of white, and she may not have ever known that Pinkham was inside the circle.
That could have been, yeah, as we talked about the confusion from the goalkeeper, Emma Asbury for St. Joe's, who's from Bridgewater, Vermont. So we'll take a timeout here, and we'll be back with all the statistics in the first half. No penalty corners to report on. Jack Healy, Darlene Janoski, and our producer is Matt Broderick. Nick and Mike are camera people, and our producers at Peg TV, Mike Valentine and Chris McCormick, as this is shown live today on the Saturday afternoon. College field hockey on Peg TV Channel 20 in the immediate Rutland area on the Rutland Comcast system. So there's your score. Castleton 2, St. Joe's of Maine, nothing at halftime. We'll be back right before the start of the second half.
Number 1 is a pretty important number, but it's even more important when it comes to your health. That is, taking care of number 1. So turn to the number 1 group of healthcare professionals, Rutland Regional Medical Center's Vermont Orthopedic Clinic. Vermont Orthopedic Clinic is recognized across Vermont and the country for excellence in knee replacement, hip replacement, and overall orthopedic care. Vermont Orthopedic Clinic at the Rutland Regional Medical Center, where people care.
Why did I choose Castleton?
Castleton is big enough, so there's a lot to do. It's small enough so I can really get involved.
Sports.
Theater and music.
Radio and TV.
Internships and community service. There's a real sense of community.
And lots of opportunity.
And Castleton is in Vermont.
That means hiking, biking, skiing, and riding.
Visit castleton.edu to learn more about Castleton.
Why do students choose Castleton State College? It's big enough so there's lots to do, but it's small enough so that they can get involved in their classes and in clubs. In student government, theater, music, radio, TV, internships, and college and community projects that really matter. Castleton President Dave Walk calls Castleton a small college with a big heart. From their first day on campus, students feel a part of the community. Castleton offers more than 30 majors, career preparation, and the liberal arts and sciences. In every field, students receive personal attention from excellent faculty. There's a sense of community and lots of opportunity. For more than 200 years, Castleton has been educating students while changing to meet their needs. Technology, sustainability, internships, and community engagement are all part of a Castleton education. And the Castleton Spartans compete in 20 intercollegiate sports. Last year, 19 teams went on to the postseason, and individual athletes earned 79 spots on all conference teams, 6 All-Region awards, and 1 All-American mention. Spartan Stadium, the home of men's and women's soccer, men's and women's lacrosse, field hockey, and football, is one of the finest facilities in the state. Glenbrook Gymnasium and Spartan Arena have been beautifully renovated. Castleton is in central Vermont, near the best snowboarding and skiing in New England, and close to where you are right now. And with all these advantages, Castleton is affordable with costs well below private colleges. Find out for yourself how Castleton can make a difference in your life by visiting soon. Check out the web at castleton.edu.
And we're back as we get set for second half action here at Castleton Spartan Stadium. Jack Healy, Darlene Janoski. And watching it around the world on the internet and, of course, on PEG TV Channel 20. Live, televised on the Rutland, Vermont Comcast system. Castleton, the 2-0 lead. At the 1:52 mark, Christy Pinkham, her 5th goal of the year, a shot from just inside the shooting circle to make it 1-0 Castleton. And at the 21:17 mark, Blake Wardwell, her 4th of the year from Rachel Prusser, deflected pass from Prusser to Wardwell. 2-0 Spartans. Jessica Galatiotto, 1 save for Castleton. Emma Asbury from Bridgewater, Vermont, 3 saves for St. Joe's, and no penalty corners in that first half.
That's very rare. That, again, just goes to show you how good the defense has been playing for both sides.
And a penalty corner can only happen with an infraction within the circle. And since both teams have not been in the circle that often, that, of course, lessens the possibility of having penalty corners.
That's true.
And still a 1-player advantage for Castleton as we get set here for the second half. Castleton, as you look out, going right to left, and St. Joe's of Maine going left to right. As Castleton goalkeeper Jessica Galatiotto is to your right, and Emma Asbury, the St. Joe's goalkeeper, is to your left. 1:22 left on the player advantage for Castleton. I have not, of course, Darlene, seen as many field hockey games as you have, but this is my 3rd or 4th year being here for this, and I don't think I've ever seen a game in which there were no penalty corners.
I can't even remember being a part of a game without a penalty corner, so it is a pretty rare thing.
Of course, they have to go, but if both teams continue to put up the suffocating defense, again, not a lot of opportunities for it. Maria Stern is number 25, so she gets the starting nod for Castleton here in the second half. Kea on the left wing for the Spartans. The Spartans in green, St. Joe's in the white and blue. Kea back out of trouble, and Spartans look to control again. Went by Christy Pinkham. Kayla Heath, a defender, played it for a moment for St. Joe's. Kea again for the Spartans. Look at how Prusser controls. And
I think we got our first corner. Yeah.
Well, spoke too soon. I didn't think it would go through the whole second half without one.
That would have been a very rare game.
And Rachel Prusser, the inserter, and of course we'll see how they work it out here. Christy Pinkham is out at a point, and generally they go to Pinkham, and actually that's exactly what they do. Pinkham lets fly, and it
off white. It's going to be a long hit. Yeah, I think on their last trip through Maine last weekend, I think every goal they scored was off a corner. I thought I read that on their news brief.
So the first corner they're unable to connect, but Prusser down low, 5 yards out.
Going to be another one.
And once you start controlling it inside for a period of time, that's going to lead to penalty corners, and another penalty corner. And Rachel Prusser again will be the inserter. We'll see if she comes out to Pinkham. She does. Pinkham knocks it down inside the circle. Stern there. Stern trying to control. Maria Stern, number 25, comes back outside. Salata with it. By the way, both teams at full strength. The yellow card penalty is over for St. Joe's of Maine.
And that could have been a factor in those corners. I really didn't take a quick peek at the clock to see if that girl was out during the corners.
Amanda Salata, 5'7" sophomore from Dedham, Mass, is number 9 for St. Joe's of Maine. St. Joe's looking to put on a little bit of pressure here. Missouri. Hendricks is number 12 inside the circle. Shovels it down low. A little bit of a scramble there. Effie Drew is number 10.
She wants a long hit. Castleton wanted the ball.
Long hit for St. Joe's of Maine. The Monks from the left wing, and it will be Rachel Missouri. I think some family members, Rachel Missouri's family members, a few of them are here. She's from Atkinson, New Hampshire, because I saw a couple of T-shirts with the name Missouri and the number 11.
I did too, yeah.
And they were out here tailgating out here in the front at Spartan Stadium.
Not quite sure where Atkinson, New Hampshire is. Maybe it's closer to come here than to be in St. Joe's.
Stepping up to it, Dennis. Bardell makes a nice play defensively, as she has all day. Stephanie Bardell, and from Irwina, Pennsylvania. Here's Wardwell on the right wing, has Prusser with her. Look at her poke it away. There was Heath.
Long hit. Another good defensive play.
Maria Stern out to Sears. Trying to shovel it back within the shooting circle, but unable to clear it away. Stern knocks it back within the circle and back out. Here come the Monks now. Playing it is Effie Drew. Kaya for Castleton on the left wing, number 5. Can't try to shovel it ahead to Prusser. The play made by Hendricks, but Kaya there. Dumont is number 21 for St. Joe's, and this is Williams, number 5. St. Joe's trying to put on some offense here. Not much of it. Effie Drew. Hendricks. That was Carissa McCoy, number 23, that made the defensive play for the Spartans.
Wow, Prusser is just so fast.
Yeah, I was just going to say speed and space.
With
Rachel
the ball,
Prusser.
she's leaving people behind.
Yeah, it's amazing how she handles that and controls it. The most prolific scorer in the history of Castleton field hockey, all-time leader in goals scored, all-time leader in assists, all-time leader in points. Rachel Prusser, number 4 for the Spartans, 5'2" senior from Prairieville, New York. 28-20 to go in the second half. Castleton leads 2-0 on a couple of first half goals. Christy Pinkham and Blake Wardwell scoring for the Spartans. Rachel Missouri poked away as she tried to get it toward the circle.
More good D. Shannon Burns stepping up. Quick to Maria Stern.
Maria Stern is number 25. Now to Christy Pinkham on the right wing along the far sideline. Knocked across the line. Pinkham on the quick self-start here. Prusser runs it down inside the circle. Stops 10 yards out.
And a corner.
And again, conducive to corners once you get it in there. For a period of time, of course, you can't have a corner until you get it within the circle because it's a foul on the opposing team within the circle. The point is, though, the longer you're in there,
more likelihood.
Pinkham as they get it to Wardell shot it down low, deflected wide. As checking in is number 25, Allison Allard, a 5'6" sophomore from Parsonsfield, Maine, for St. Joe's, the Monks of St. Joe's. Alex Sears, who is from Cornwall, Vermont. Stern now along the right wing. Stern chased by Dennis. Wardwell.
Oh, right through the middle. Nobody there.
Kea about 5 yards out. And
here we go.
Another penalty corner. What is it now? About 4 or 5?
I think that's 4.
All of them here in the second half. It's going to be Rachel Prusser, the inserter. For the most part, again, trying to get it out to the player at the point just outside the circle, Pinkham, and that's Pinkham there. Pinkham down low to Prusser. Prusser 5 yards out. Prusser trying to control. It's another penalty corner. Prusser again, the inserter.
Pinkham's due to shoot one herself here.
Now Pinkham.
No.
Again, the player that gets it off the insert has to either take the shot herself or bring it inside the circle and pass it up. And St. Joe's back the other way. Kea now grabs it on the left wing for the Spartans, number 5. Prusser inside the circle. Allison Allard, who just checked in, will be the restart for St. Joe's with 25:10 to go here in the second half. 2-0 Castleton. Alex Sears backtracking. Shannon Burns, who shoveled it ahead for Castleton. Maria Stern is number 25. Pinkham center circle.
And she got really quite tackled by 3 different defenders.
St. Joe's number 10 is Effie Drew. Effie Drew is a junior from Portland, Maine. Dennis on the left wing, and Dennis to Allard. Dennis, number 13. Going to make the hit there was Teresa Hendricks, but the Spartans back the other way. Bardell.
Nobody there.
Megan Williams for St. Joe's.
Madison Martin going to play for Alex Sears for a little while. Kea's had a nice game coming up the left side, to feed Prusser all day long, send her free on all those long breaks.
And resulting in, certainly here in the second half, in penalty corners. Against St. Joe's, the Monks coming in at 3-0 in the NAC, 8-0 overall. The Spartans 3-0 in the NAC and 5-4 overall. 3 teams unbeaten, tied for the top in the North Atlantic Conference. Defending champion Castleton, along with Husson and St. Joe's. Thomas and Maine Farmington next with records of 2-1 in the league.
And Husson will be coming to Castleton this year for the league game. That's a couple of weeks away.
Castleton beat Husson in the North Atlantic Conference final in Bangor, Maine last year. If I remember correctly, Darlene, relatively high scoring was something like 7-6.
I was thinking the same thing. I was trying to also recall if Husson is a grass field team, which would be more encouragement for Castleton to try to secure a home field to play on turf.
Nice job there by Royer. Royer for St. Joe's to Drew. Yeah, Castleton had a lead, and then Husson closed in on them a little bit. I was watching that.
I watched it, yeah.
And then Castleton held on.
It seemed like anyone who got off a shot that night was going to be productive.
It's Gibbon is number 16 for St. Joe's, and number 5 is Megan Williams, a sophomore from Greenland, New Hampshire. She's a defender. St. Joe's trying to get some offense going. Barry Solom has been in the Castleton in the shooting area inside the circle.
And that's pretty unfamiliar territory for them. Like you said at the beginning, they outshoot their opponents 170 to 32 so far this year. So this is kind of unfamiliar ground.
Madison Martin, a 5'4" senior from Montage, New Jersey, for the Spartans, number 18. Now controlled by St. Joe's. Hendricks with it. Missouri is number 11. And Dennis on the restart. Takes it through the area and deflected out. Jessica Galatioto for the Spartans, the goalkeeper, has had one save. So one shot on goal for St. Joe's. O'Neill checks in for St. Joe's.
And it's not for lack of effort from St. Joe's. They're trying to put something together offensively. I think it's just that Castleton is having such a really good day defensively. They're making it incredibly difficult.
It looks like Tammy Landon came in with a pretty good game plan against this team.
She did. She's leaving no one unmarked. And she knows they can score. She knows they can shoot. She's made really sure that everybody has somebody. A lot of faith in her defense, a lot of faith in her midfielders.
Maria Stern looks to play it, knocked across by Missouri.
And there's a lot of upperclassmen leadership there, too, so.
Carissa McCoy for the Spartans. 18:30 to go in the second half at Castleton with a 2-0 lead. You're in college field hockey at Spartan Stadium. Christy Pinkham and Blake Wardwell scoring for the Spartans. Pinkham from Brandon, Vermont. Wardwell from Bridgewater, Vermont. And the defending NAC champion Castleton Spartans, again with a 2-0 lead here over St. Joe's of Maine. Another nice play defensively for the Spartans. Wardwell. Prusser inside the circle. Prusser. Prusser, look
at
this.
4 defenders.
Certainly when you win a championship, it's a team sport and, of course, a team effort, Darlene. But Castleton has been blessed with really and one of them was the Player of the Year in the NAC 2 years ago. Keely Chipman, the Player of the Year last year. I mean, a couple of special players here that have been the last 2 NAC Players of the Year.
They are. It's got to be a real joy for Tammy to have them in their program. They're good kids. They're leaders. And anytime she needs something offensively, they were there.
We mentioned Rachel Pruser, now the most prolific scorer in the history of Castleton field hockey, breaking records that were set last year by Keely Chipman.
And I'm sure before she's done, those are going to stand for a little while because both she and Keely have, been really impressive.
Yeah, Keely's have stood for about a year.
Didn't
last
last long.
year, but Rachel's might be up there for a while. Here's St. Joe's and
over the back line. She didn't quite get a chance to save it.
And both similar players. I mean, they're about the same size.
And they spent 3 years working together,
Yep.
and a lot of times it was Chipman to Pruser and vice versa. So, they tallied a lot together.
Stephanie Bardell. We mentioned earlier that we had an opportunity to talk to Castleton coach Tammy Landon on the Spartan Pride Show, which is shown on PEG TV, Channel 20, and also available on PEGTV.com, video on demand. You click into the Castleton section. And Tammy Landon was our guest, along with Rachel Pruser. We talked to Tammy and Rachel. It was the day after Rachel scored 5 goals in a victory over Plymouth, including the game winner as time expired off a penalty corner.
Did you get Rachel to speak?
Yes, she did.
She's a pretty quiet
she
girl.
opened up nicely. Very quiet at the beginning of that interview, but did open up. That was the day we mentioned before. It was we taped that almost a month ago now. It was a very hot day. It was like in the 90s at Plymouth, and Castleton won. I mean, it was like the hottest day of the year. It was the day before we taped that interview. Missouri inside the circle, and we have a penalty corner for the first time for St. Joe's.
Yeah.
So we'll see how they react to it. Their first penalty corner with 14:30 now left in the second half. We'll see if their strategy is the same.
Pretty similar.
The inserter Dennis out to Missouri, but it skipped by her, and back is Shannon Burns. Missouri back inside the circle. Missouri still with it about 5 yards out, but couldn't pull the trigger and get the shot away. I asked you this before, too, here is on the insert where on the artificial turf field, for the most part, you see the players go out to the point. I had been in St. Johnsbury to broadcast a high school game, St. Johnsbury in L.I., and in the Linden Institute, L.I. Here's Pinkham on the right wing. And even though they did play in a grass field, so for the most part they didn't get it out to the point. And I asked you if it was the maybe they're not as strong, but as you said, it was because of the grass field for the most part.
It is. They don't. The ball just doesn't travel as fast. I mean, and they are not as strong, but
But I know what you mean, because
turf.
I did. I was over at Colby Sawyer as we got a penalty corner for the Spartans coming up now. I was over at Colby Sawyer, which Colby Sawyer is in the league here. Colby Sawyer and Daniel Webster, and the penalty corners, they play on a grass field. And
It's very different. I mean, this game is truly meant to be on a turf field, and there are all kinds of different turfs, obviously. And this is actually one of the slower kind of turfs. It's a field turf. And, you go to some places like UVM and Middlebury, and those are both different surfaces as well, but they are really fast.
Pinkham shoots off the penalty corner, and she did get the goal there to put the Spartans up 3-0. Christy Pinkham, her second goal of the game, her sixth of the year, and that was how you run the penalty corner. We talked about it. Pruser, the inserter, goes out to Pinkham, what I call the point player, and she brought it within the circle. You have to bring it back within the circle, either shoot or give it up, and she shot it and got the goal. 3-0 Spartans. That's how you run it. Not that I'm an expert on it, because I'm not.
It looked good, though. It looked good.
But that's it looks good on paper.
The key is to get it out to her as quick as you can, because she's the furthest one from the defense, too. So if you can get it out to her fast, there's no way the defense can catch up to it that quick. So she might be able to get off a really nice shot like that.
Christy Pinkham scoring to put the Spartans up 3-0. Wardwell down low inside the 5. St. Joe's back the other way. St. Joe's Megan Williams, number 5. Just under 12 minutes to go in the second half. 3-0 Castleton. 3-0 might seem like a bigger deficit for St. Joe's, even though they have a prolific attack, but just the devastating defense for the Spartans in this game here this afternoon.
Yeah, it's just not happening for St. Joe's today. And the 3 on the board is a good thing for Castleton. I mean, there's been a couple of years where the decision for the final spot came down to the goals against and goals, against with the common opponents kind of stuff. And so it's part of the tiebreaker.
Coming into the game, Galatioto had not allowed a goal in 200 minutes. So it's 200 plus.
That would basically have been their trip to Maine. This last Saturday and Sunday where they won both days by shutouts.
What is it now? It's like 260 minutes or something, right?
Right about now, yeah.
And a lot of times when you say that, boom.
Watch what happens.
It's like, talking about a no-hitter or something. Maria Stern over the 50. Effie Drew, one big hop, and Stacy Sullivan has done a nice job defensively. Stacy Sullivan, a 5'9" senior defender from Bridgewater, Connecticut. Poking it away, but the restart for St. Joe's, Rachel Missouri. Well, the defender, she was too close? Is that what happened?
Yeah, they want to give him 5 yards. She wasn't quite there. They want to make sure that in this close that it happens.
Turn around, shot
another
block.
Corner here, yep.
Keegan Dumont, but it's a corner coming up because it went off the body of the defender, right?
Right.
So we're talking, this is the second one, right, for St. Joe's?
It is. The first one wasn't set up real well, bounced around a little bit.
So they go out to Missouri. This time sends it back to Dennis. Williams lost it, brought it within the circle. Dennis out front. Haley Spittle is in number 3 for the Spartans. 5 yards out. Might have looked like an opportunity there for Dumont, but
it's a nice pass back. Nobody there.
Couldn't pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Dumont back the other way, trying to shovel it in front, and here's Missouri stepping up to it. Loose, 3 yards out. Missouri down near corner.
Still going to be St. Joe's ball with a restart to come in. Just outside the circle.
Missouri again. Tough angle.
Kea.
Yeah, Kea, nice play there. And you talked about Kea earlier having a nice game. Missouri trying to get a stick on it. Some substitutions for Tammy Landon. Annie Towsley checks in for the Spartans. Number 6, a 5'3" senior from Woodford, Vermont, a Mount Anthony Union High School grad. 7:25 to go. Second half. Castleton with a 3-0 lead. Christy Pinkham has a pair of goals, and Blake Wardwell with a goal. Pinkham her 5th and 6th of the year. Wardwell her 4th of the year. Castleton's next game will be against Springfield on the 9th. That'll be a 4 o'clock game. Springfield is Tammy Landon's alma mater. It's another penalty corner coming up for the Spartans. Prusser is the inserter. The last time it was to perfection. Now Pinkham isn't in there right now, is she?
She's not. Let's see if it goes out to Towsley, and it does.
Yeah, they like to use that play. Up in the air, the shot from Kea.
Nice
Glove down.
Stop by the keeper.
The keeper
Asbury.
again. Asbury from Bridgewater, Vermont. Again, we remind people that the goalkeepers in field hockey have to keep the ball moving. They have to kick it out. They can't cover up, in other words, like you can in ice hockey. And if you do cover up somehow, like you come down on top of the ball, it's penalty stroke.
And their equipment isn't even really like a mitt like you'd see in ice hockey. It's just a solid pad blocker.
Yeah, where you can't. It's not conducive to closing up.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to grab it with it anyway.
It's more like an oven mitt or something.
It is.
And this is a penalty corner for St. Joe's. See if they can take advantage of a penalty corner. And so we saw none in the first half, several here in the second half. Dennis is the inserter. Missouri inside the circle. Lets it fly. Galatioto knocks it away. Missouri again. Lets it fly. There's traffic. And Galatioto did make a save. Another one knocking it away.
Jeez,
Williams in there. The scramble. All kinds of opportunities for the Monks. The shot stopped at the line. Again, about 10 yards out. The shot blocked and deflected. Who was it that stopped it at the line?
Stacey Sullivan stepped up. Galatioto was way up above the stroke line, actually, and Stacey Sullivan was the defender on the goal line that saved her.
Well, that's a great play by a defender that does that, because you just have the stick. You don't have all the equipment, but
absolutely.
St. Joe's putting on some pressure there. All that started off a penalty corner. And Galatioto with a save or two there, and as you mentioned, Sullivan, who had it at the goal line, didn't let it get by.
That was headed in, too. That was great stave.
Coming down on 4 minutes to go in the second half. Castleton with a 3-0 lead, and Castleton holds on here, and 3-0 lead at this point is pretty close to being, well, I don't want to close the door, but pretty close.
Yeah, don't say anything else.
But Darlene will be down on the field talking to Tammy Landon in our postgame show. Here with space and speed is Prusser. Prusser in, turns. Prusser shoots. And it
just
goes in wide.
Nice move.
Now, the other part of it, again, for people that don't know, is she just couldn't hit it on the backhand. She had to turn around and hit it with the flat end of the stick.
Correct.
I mean, you can't just hit it on the backside. So
quick reverse stick. It was a nice play.
That tells you how athletic she is.
Another corner.
Tammy Landon has the cards, telling Rachel Prusser basically where to pass that to. And I've asked Rachel, I did on that interview, if she could change the call if she wants to, and she can. But she probably doesn't most of the time. I think you say what the coach wants you to do. You do
for the most part, yeah. I mean, she's the quarterback out there. You know, they can change some plays.
Yep.
So.
Maria Stern over the 50. 2:25 to go in this one. The defense has been there all day long. Bardell making the play.
This time, yeah.
Minute 50 to go. Spittle on the right wing.
Yeah, I didn't even see her come in.
Yeah, she came in a few minutes ago.
Yellow for Kaylee Heath right now.
So this is 2 minutes.
No, this will be at least 5, but it's pretty
Five,
much irrelevant
that's
at
right.
this point with a
It
minute
is at least
45 to
It's
minute
green,
46.
yellow, red. That's the order.
Yeah, with only a minute and 46 seconds to play.
So it's academic. She's out for the rest of the game.
Right. I mean, it would have made a difference if this was a potential overtime game, which it doesn't appear to be, so that's it for her game.
So Castleton has the 3-0 lead plus the player advantage. And green is 2 minutes, yellow is 5 minutes, and red is ejection.
Yellow starts at 5. It could be more.
It could be more. We've seen a couple of yellows here that have both been 5.
They are, yep. Now, that's pretty standard. You know, if it's just a little more rough or what, you know, repetitive type of foul, they could upgrade the minutes.
Dennis, number 13 for St. Joe's, inside the circle. Knocked outside and back out toward the 35. And we have a minute to go in the game, and it's 3-0 Castleton. So in the battle of unbeatens, it appears that Castleton will still be unbeaten at the end of this one. St. Joe's will suffer its first loss of the year, not only in the league but overall. Castleton has lost 4 times overall, but unbeaten in league play. And I'm not sure where Husson is today, but Husson, the other team in the league that's unbeaten. Husson comes here October 26th.
3 weeks. A lot can happen in that length of time. There's a lot of league games to be played.
Ten seconds to go in the game, and Castleton is going to win this one. Housley. And that is it. And Castleton wins it 3-0 and hands St. Joe's its first loss of the year, 3-0. Castleton getting goals from Christy Pinkham, a pair of goals, and Blake Wardwell en route to the victory. And it's 3-0, and the Spartans with the win now go to 4-0 in the league, 6-4 overall. St. Joe's 3-1 in the NAC, 8-1 overall. And Darlene Janoski will go down below to talk to Tammy Landon. All that coming up in our postgame show after this timeout.
Number 1 is a pretty important number, but it's even more important when it comes to your health. That is, taking care of number 1. So turn to the number 1 group of healthcare professionals, Rutland Regional Medical Center's Vermont Orthopedic Clinic. Vermont Orthopedic Clinic is recognized across Vermont and the country for excellence in knee replacement, hip replacement, and overall orthopedic care. Vermont Orthopedic Clinic at the Rutland Regional Medical Center, where people care.
Why did I choose Castleton?
Castleton is big enough, so there's a lot to do. It's small enough so I can really get involved.
Sports.
Theater and music.
Radio and TV.
Internships and community service. There's a real sense of community.
And lots of opportunity.
And Castleton is in Vermont.
That means hiking, biking, skiing, and riding.
Visit castleton.edu to learn more about Castleton.
Why do students choose Castleton State College? It's big enough so there's lots to do, but it's small enough so that they can get involved in their classes and in clubs. In student government, theater, music, radio, TV, internships, and college and community projects that really matter. Castleton President Dave Walk calls Castleton a small college with a big heart. From their first day on campus, students feel a part of the community. Castleton offers more than 30 majors, career preparation, and the liberal arts and sciences. In every field, students receive personal attention from excellent faculty. There's a sense of community and lots of opportunity. For more than 200 years, Castleton has been educating students while changing to meet their needs. Technology.
Momentous win, 100 for your.
Back on our post-game show, and there's the final. Castleton 3, St. Joe's nothing, and a milestone win for Coach Tammy Landon. Career victory number 100, and Darlene Janoski will be talking to Tammy Landon. Let's go down below.
Up a goal today, and St. Joe's was, they're solid.
They were. They came in here shooting lights out, and your defense was just amazing today. Your girls marked everybody up. Nobody was left alone back there. That must have been a topic of conversation.
Absolutely. Our layers are where they need to be. We recover hard, we go, and we come back really hard. But the play, Stacey Sullivan today, Shannon Burns today as a double sweeper role. Barty is playing, Steph Bardell is just playing tremendously in the middle. And then, we had to battle. We had to just keep persistent.
And this helps a lot as you get into league play.
This is one actually. So St. Joe's is in our conference as a kind of an extra NAC team this year. So this brings us to 4-0 in the conference, and
good start.
That's right where we want to be.
Start 100 wins. Have you been here that long?
10th year.
Congratulations.
Thanks, darling.
All right, thank you very much, Darlene Janoski and Coach Tammy Landon. And milestone victory, career victory number 100 in the shutout win over St. Joe's by a score of 3-0. Christy Pinkham, a pair of goals for the Spartans, her 5th and 6th of the year. Her second goal came off the penalty corner. Blake Wardwell, her 4th goal of the year. Rachel Prusser assisting on that goal and also assisting on the penalty corner. Score for Christy Pinkham as well. So that's the final. Thanks, everybody, for joining us around the world on the internet and also on PEG TV Channel 20 on the Rutland Comcast system. So for our producer, Matt Broderick, and also our producers at PEG TV, Chris McCormick and Mike Valentine, and for Darlene Janoski and our cameramen, Nick and Mike, I'm Jack Healy, wishing you all a very pleasant good afternoon from Spartan Stadium. The final again, Castleton 3, St. Joe's of Maine nothing. Have a good day, everybody.